What's up, Bagel fans? It's your host, Joey Karni. Today, we are live in Staten Island, New York for an amazing show with the Warriors of Wrestling. Tonight, Cold Furry. It's going to be an amazing, epic event. We have a lot of matches going down tonight. We have the World Heavyweight Champion, JustNeph's, in action. He is defending his title. We have the World Women's Champion, Melina. You all know Melina. She is here tonight defending her title. We have Davey Boy Smith in action. A lot of stuff is going down. The Angle, we're covering it all. You're going to check up with us in a little while. We'll see you guys in a little bit. The Angle podcast starts right now. What's up, Angle fans? We are here live tonight in Staten Island, New York for Cold Furry with the Warriors of Wrestling. Standing with me right now, we have the World Heavyweight Champion, JustNeph's. He's going to give us some information, where he's been, where he's going, and what he plans to do as the company's champion. Nice to meet you, sir.
How you doing, man?
Thanks for being here. So, when did you realize that you want to be a pro wrestler, and really where did that stem from as a child?
Yeah, I think for me, pro wrestling really bit me, like a lot of people bit me when I was a kid. We used to backyard wrestle around the neighborhood in Brooklyn. First time we actually started, I was, me and my brother and some of my friends were in Boy Scouts. And after our team meetings, we would then, like pull out some chairs and, do the whole, ECW was huge at the time, so that was a huge inspiration for us. So, that's kind of what got the bug into me, and a couple years later, a friend of mine got me into Warriors as a manager, and I was a manager for a couple years, and I was like, you know what, I kind of want to turn it up, go full gear, and train more, more heavily, get into shape, all that, and kind of ended up where I am now.
Yeah, because as kids, I mean, I'm 27, and I know when I was younger, a lot of kids that I knew, they're not necessarily told, go be a pro wrestler. It's not necessarily a career path that you normally hear about. So, do you have a message for kids that are thinking about where they want to go regarding pro wrestling?
I mean, I could tell kids to not be like me and not backyard wrestle, but I know that's going to be in vain, because when the bug has hit you, the bug has hit you. The biggest thing that I would say is when you are close enough to being of age to find a credible school, look into actually getting yourself into a good shape, especially when you're like 17, 18, you're at the peak of like your physical prowess, and that's like the perfect time to start building these routines. Of course. So that would be the biggest thing, is find a good school and start being conscientious of things like getting into shape, working out, things like that.
Did you start with the Warriors of Wrestling? Did you start at this school? Did you
yes. Yes, I started here. I've been in Warriors of Wrestling since 2009. So a long time. Started training. When I started training, I was still a manager, but I did the rolls, the bumps. Everybody went through the same basic training. So yeah, and we used to have, the school is here now, but back in the day, our first school was actually in like another warehouse not too far from here. Okay. And winters were the most brutal in that warehouse. We used to train with like 3 pairs of pants, 7 pairs of socks, that kind of thing. Because it was just a drafty warehouse. But
gotcha. So do you have a match in particular, or a superstar in particular, past, present, whatever, that really inspired you now or as a kid to kind of really pursue?
Yeah, absolutely. I think my first real inspiration in wrestling was The Undertaker. I was captivated by the character, the aura, everything about him. As I got older and as I started to learn kind of what my style was or what that felt right for me, guys like Mike Quackenbush became guys that I really looked at. Guys that I took in, and I was like, this is like the kind of wrestling that I enjoy watching, and it's the kind of guys I gravitated towards.
Awesome. Now, as a performer, you're a main eventer here. What is your main goal as a pro wrestler? Where do you see yourself, as the main, the ending goal for you?
I mean, for me, I've played around with the ideas before. Everybody always talks about getting into the bigger companies, WWE, stuff like that. I'm a bit older now. I'm 33. I have a wife. I have a house. I don't have the luxury of leaving to Florida whenever I want. So those kind of things have played into a factor. But I think it's the kind of thing that if the opportunity arises, that's when you'll really know if you can take it. For me, as long as I can entertain and entertain on the biggest stages possible available to me, that's all I really care about.
Awesome. Now, you're the world champion here.
Yes, indeed.
What does it mean to be a champion? What does it mean for you to hold this championship? You've been here for a long time. What does it mean to finally be, the champion here? And
to me, a champion is supposed to represent. He's supposed to represent the best of the best, and that's not just in-ring ability. That is, decorum. That is attitude. You are essentially supposed to be the person the guys look at and the girls look at. Everybody looks at it and goes, "That's the person who sets the standard for how we should behave, how we should act, how we should speak." To me, being a champion is being that responsibility, being conscientious of how you behave, how you act, and how you talk to people. I give everybody the same amount of respect because everybody busts their ass regardless of what position they're in. Everybody busts their ass. So for me, champion is setting that as the precedent so that people will follow it.
Awesome. Now, if you can pick anybody, past, present, who is your dream opponent that you could see? The biggest match of your career. Who's that person?
There are a couple. In a perfect world, if people didn't age, I think I would have loved to work Jake the Snake. He is another person that just character-wise and the ability to manipulate the English language in such a way that you had to listen to it 2-3 times, and every time you listen to it, there was another layer. You're like, wow, man. So Jake was always really good at that, and his in-ring ability was fantastic. So if people couldn't age, Jake would definitely be at the top of my list. Guys like I mentioned, Mike Quackenbush, these are guys that I truly idolize in terms of ring style and setting a precedent for types of wrestling that weren't as prominent. Guys like that in that era are really people that I would love to just share the ring with. And I think for me, one of the other names that I throw out, which is like dream names, is Blue Demon Jr. actually.
Okay.
So Blue Demon Jr. is growing up. He is essentially what movie star. His father and El Santo were movie stars back in the day. Wrestling in Mexico, they were these guys were the action stars of the era.
Yeah.
So being able to wrestle Blue Demon Jr., who also has father's ability and everything that he does, being able to say that I had a match with that kind of lineage would be super exciting.
That would be fantastic. So tonight is a huge night for you, defending your title. How are you preparing for this match, and what do you see the outcome being? Obviously, retain the title. But
we know it's supposed to be thrown.
How would you prepare overall for this match?
I prepared for this match like I prepare for a lot of matches, and that's doing my homework. The key to being who I am, being the strategist, is to do your homework. I watch matches, I watch footage, I study people, I learn what makes them tick. And like any good strategist, the only way to learn how to beat someone is to learn where their weaknesses are, where their vulnerabilities are, what's their Achilles heel. And that to me is my bread and butter. That's what I do. So I watch footage. I'm like a fiend with watching footage. Pouring over it, backing up, pouring over it, backing up. Coming into it, I want to make sure that I come into it with layers of game. Contingencies upon contingencies.
Awesome. So a lot of the fans we have here, they follow a lot of the big companies, a lot of the smaller companies. So for a fan who doesn't know about you, who's going to get interested with the Warriors of Wrestling, with you, what's a message you can send to the fans tonight about your match, about who you are as a performer, and where they can find you on social media?
Absolutely. I am the strategist, and that's not just a moniker for moniker's sake. That is literally what I bring to the table. When it comes to how I approach a match, when it comes to how I attack a match while I'm in it, it is all about the strategy. Tonight, I am obviously facing off against a man much larger than I am, much stronger than I am. So I'm not going to come at him with the same strategy that I would come at somebody my size or smaller. So I've prepared a bunch of game plans that work against that. It is, as we've said, tonight is David versus Goliath. And I said it before and I'll say it again, David did not beat Goliath using strength. David did not beat Goliath using power. David beat Goliath using his brain, his mind, his cunning. And that is how I'm going to achieve victory tonight.
Awesome, man. Well, good luck to you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for being here. This is The Angle. Thank you very much.
Sipping in a